as I stated, I was tasked with getting one comprehensive one. We had a number of job descriptions floating around, and I put them all together. Actually, they had them together for me, and I found a couple others, and there was about 15. So what I did is took the best of that group, and that A, and then I put one together that I got from another city, or it was a city a little bigger than ours that has its own IT department and a little bit more, I guess you could say, responsibilities for the finance director. I thought it was important that whoever it is able to grow and have more responsibility than what A kind of states. It's a good, I mean, A is a good description, and it fits our city, but B actually gives a little bit more growth to the individual and to the council to expect out of the person, which I think is right.
Does council have a chance to look these over? Are there any questions?
I briefly looked them over, but I'd kind of like maybe the finance department committee to take a look at it and make a recommendation to council of the two, and then have a discussion about that. But right now, I've looked at them, and I don't know which. I know what Richard's saying, but.
I think I'll have to trust the expertise of Josh.
I think we should have an actual committee meeting and not just trust me.
When did you want to do that?
What 6 people schedule? Available next evening, this week, or next?
We have an HR meeting Thursday night.
John, do we have a human services committee meeting this week?
Thursday, right?
Yep, Thursday, sorry.
Um,
If I'm writing, I'm not listening.
Make sure it's in the calendar.
Would tomorrow work for you?
I'm not sure if tomorrow will work. I've got, unless we'll do it later.
Late's fine with me, it works early. I
Okay.
don't know how late we want to have staff today.
So that's the problem.
What do you need, staff?
Well,
Yeah, I think
how late can you be here for?
Like, what time are you thinking? I am.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me.
Okay,
Well, if I may, this can wait until the next finance committee meeting.
later.
The finance committee could please review this and wait till the next meeting, bring it back to the following workshop. We have some time. I just want to move forward on this. And the whole point is so that we can post this position. But we don't have a job description that has been approved by council, I think fits our needs. And that's the goal. So if it can fit on the finance committee's agenda, to put it on their next meeting agenda, which is next Tuesday, right? Bring the recommendations back to the workshop, and then we can move it forward to the next meeting. I'm totally good with that.
Okay, yes, that fits your timeline still, then, yeah.
It does. We're good with time as far as where we're at, but I just wanted to get this moving forward.
And just a couple things I noticed between the two. I like, if I remember right, the second B has some good verbiage in there around managing represented employees and then being part of the negotiation process, which A didn't have. So since that, I mean, that position is a key player in negotiations, I think it would be useful to have in there. And then the other thing in B has some good language around grants. I know the first one did as well, but this one is a little bit more inclusive of grants. So just maybe something to keep in mind when you're looking at that. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
I have one. Richard, how user-friendly is BIOS?
It's, well, I would say it's very, compared to what we're using now, what I've seen in the past, it's straightforward. I'll give you an example. Pam, when she adds a new employee, has to go through 7 screens. This one has 1. So it's they try to make it as painless as possible to do your work in there. And from the reports I saw, and I remember I haven't used it, but Betty has, and she told me that it's just a breeze. That's basically what she said. And compared to what we're doing now, and compared to any system I work with, and I work with a lot of systems for bigger cities, this one just seems like it's very straightforward. Now, Vision I looked also, but I didn't look at enough of it. I was there for 2.5 to 3 hours for the bias one, and then more like an hour and a half today. So I didn't see everything I wanted, but I asked them a lot of questions that they're going to come back to me with answers regarding putting together a financial report, you know, manipulating the numbers so you can look at what you need to see for department heads. They don't need to see the whole, you know, fund analysis. They just need to see their department, things like that. And for payroll, it's how simple is it to, you know, fix any kind of changes. That's been really difficult with Springbrook. So it seems very user-friendly. And I've talked to other people who used it, and they would agree with that. Remember that, and something I might mention, the council does have the right to ask if one of these two vendors to bring somebody here to talk about it if you want that. I'm certain they would be glad to do that if you need more information than I can provide.
I think it'd be nice to see at least sample reports of what we can expect.
Okay.
And then kind of going back to that, since we've wondered that,
Yeah.
is there a per license cost for either one of those, or is that
Just for the SQL Server, I think it's up to 10 licenses, and after that, I don't know. Because I was thinking, so that's 10 licenses, only 10 people can be online at the same time. We have more than 10 employees, obviously, but most of the time, I would say probably 4 or 5 people are the most online on this software.
Okay.
So that's what the top is. Everything else, no, it's all one package. You can,
Each department has a...
right. And I can't see if we got to 10, it's like $100 and some each license. So I'm sure that's what they would just add if we get 15 or something like that. So they've never entered that yet. So, for small cities. Thank you.
We'll revisit both of these. Thank you very much. Ken, you're up.
First one, I think on the agenda is the PSRC dues, and if you didn't receive a letter, I apologize. It was sent out with the agenda, with my staff report, and I put some people in everybody's box. So if you don't have a copy of the letter, let me know, and I do have some copies.
Can I get one out?
It's in the box.
In your box. Yeah.
That's your box.
Way down there.
Yeah, I need one too, I didn't go to the front. There, me too.
It's in your box.
We're good, I'll go find it.
Basically, this is just our annual membership dues for PSRC. Puget Sound Regional Council, for those of you who don't know what PSRC stands for. And they do coordinate different funding, transportation funding, kind of continued coordinating on that kind of thing. And I could read the letter to you if you'd like, but I figured it'd be easier for you guys to read it.
We're good. Well, you've got good. Anybody else want to read it?
Basically, this is just letting the mayor know that she can go ahead and pay to accept and pay the dues. Doesn't require a resolution or anything like that.
Might be a good idea to have them update their records so Pam Nelson's not listed anymore.
Hey, they sent it to the right person for mayor.
That's true, yeah.
It works today.
It's just that Pam hasn't been in the news for a while. I don't know. Any questions about the membership dues? What's the council's pleasure?
Well, we spend, what, 18,000 a year or something on dues, right?
people think it's 100,000.
What's that, what it was,
Yeah.
what was it?
This is just a small slice of that pie.
And the fact that this is a group that allocates local transportation funding dollars, you're 19 bucks.
We don't have any transportation issues, though.
That's right.
Yes.
Gotten
Quite a bit.
$2 from them, from that, from FEMA for that.
Well, it's a good opportunity to network with other jurisdictions. We have the number before, right?
Actually, I think it was, John.
It was John, yeah.
Okay, we'll move that to next week. Thank you, sir. Up next is the growth management update grant application.
There's a possibility to receive an $18,000 growth management, update grant for the comprehensive plan update. This just requires a letter from the mayor saying that we're interested. And then if we do get the grant, then it would require an interlocal agreement, current agreement at that point. So before we get the grant, just a letter. After we get the grant, a little more involved.
Questions for me?
Ballot application.
So,
We definitely need it.
Free money for something we have to do anyway.
yeah.
Exactly.
If we get the grant, there's strings attached doing crazy reporting or, I mean.
No crazy reporting. The strings attached is obviously that the money has to go towards updating our comprehensive plan.
But it's not that we have to spend X amount of hours or days?
No.
Anything else, okay.
Nothing like that.
No
And
plan.
there is no local match or anything like that either.
Okay. So we'll put Kansas, please. I guess nothing at this point, we are okay, we can move forward?
You know, they don't have to use that.
No, it's just a shorter for me, we don't vote on it until. I guess
You're
we just
approving
nod
it,
it.
right, correct.
Yeah, if they actually offer the money, then we have to approve accepting it, but
I get the nod.
This is kind of an FYI thing. She
Yeah.
needs to
until then, apply
write a
for
letter.
any grant that comes in the door.
I'm like, here, fill this up. Fill this up.
Who will be filling out the application? It'll be,
It's just, all it is, there's no real application, it's just a letter.
well, it says
Stating that
approve, the submission of an application.
Well, it was,
And the letter. So
There
that's what
is,
I'm asking.
yeah, there is
there's,
an
yeah,
application.
and that actually, I think,
So,
It
just wanna
wasn't attached part of the.
make sure
it wasn't
It's in
there.
your box.
it wasn't given to me.
Sorry.
Well, I read it, and I still wanna make
Yeah,
sure
no,
we're.
there is an
clear.
application, and there's a copy of the application in all of your boxes. It just didn't make it with the packet.
Other questions? Okay, and then the surplus of vehicles and questions.
We have one van that hasn't moved in as long as I can remember. Doesn't run. It sits over in the pit area, over on the other side of the gym. We'd like to surplus that, and then miscellaneous broken and worn out items, most of which were down in the conference room. I don't know if they still are. Some old, well, there's a list. There's a rather large list of file cabinets that we don't have keys for, we can't open, or we don't have keys for. There's a lot of broken things. 8 cell phones, paper shredder, two air conditioners from the senior center that no longer work, just things like that. There's a 2-page list. I believe you all received it. If you didn't, let me know. I'll give it to you before next week.
Right. So anything with a hard drive, I'm assuming we're gonna dispose of.
Correct.
According to.
Correct.
And then as far as the rest of this goes, if there's no value to it, how are you?
If there's no value to it, it'll probably either be recycled or trashed if there's no value to it. Unless there's somebody like
the mayor had wanted one of the items for her office, if there's something that somebody wants that there's no value to, we can.
Some of the broken
Value.
No value to
Well,
it.
it's staying in the city.
As far as the vehicle, we'll probably open that up for bid. I think the only reason why it doesn't run is a dead battery, but, so, we'll probably put out a sealed bid or something like that.
Can you throw a battery in it and try, and then maybe
We'll
make more
jumpstart it,
money?
yes, exactly. I'm not gonna,
If it's
we're not,
a dead
we're not
battery.
just gonna have it towed away.
I hope not.
So,
That's the one that it leaks too, right?
it leaks, but we won't tell anybody that. We'll tell it during on sunny days.
As is.
Have we looked into, I know with VRFA, they work through GSA, they just look at the percentage of what they sell versus having to work all the administrative
No, but I
stuff
can't,
back in. I don't know, but I mean, if it's one van, the rest of this is probably gonna go to dump or recycle, but
right,
it might be worth just not worrying about it and having GSA take care of it.
we can do that.
So, I mean, just an idea.
It's either that or we can have Whiting's take it too, or not for us.
Yeah.
We probably actually would get more from Whiting's.
GSA won't do anything with it, and they won't even wash it.
Yeah, it is what it is when they
So
go.
if we can wash it up and put a battery in it, like she says, it
Yeah.
maybe it'll start, get a couple $100 more for a $50, $60 battery.
Yeah. Other questions? Council question?
We'll have to go forward.
Okay. FYI, while I'm up here, Public Works Committee meets tomorrow night, 7 o'clock.
So, any more questions?
That's when it's ready.
Next item is the minutes, the last several months' worth of meeting minutes. I went through several of these and caught a lot of things, so, and I think Leanne did as well. So, do we want to kind of go through, kind of consolidate our notes somewhere and make sure those are corrected before they're brought back to Doc?
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I'm not done going through all of them, and then have some notes to complete, but, yeah, we could put it off to another workshop even, or?
Maybe to move forward and to try to kind of get you speed up as we go, if you could send your notes either to myself or to Amy, and with the dates, you can listen to the tape and make any necessary corrections so that we can kind of move the process along, and maybe at the next workshop,
Yeah.
we'll have more solid notes. Just a suggestion.
Is that a concern about March 25th specific
Yeah.
situation with a big, that's not how I remember it.
Well, and there's some copy-paste errors in there as well, so.
Yeah.
But if we could, rather than, sending the document with paste, sticky notes or something attached, just send a text email. Say just
Capture the date.
the page, the date and section. Yeah, the concern. Cliff, if you have questions, maybe.
My memory's not that good.
Good, because you've done a lot.
Yeah. I know, it's just got a lot easier.
Yeah, if there are any questions.
It's history now, it'll make much difference.
Let's move.
And then, one other question on it, are there other, earlier minutes that are still missing? I seem to recall we had some still from 2012 that,
And
never been
maybe
approved.
once we get through this, it'll be something that we could task Amy to just kind of go through and make sure that we have minutes for every single.
because I seem to recall there were a few meetings in 2012 that we never got the minutes back to approve.
There was a gap between clerks and.
Yeah, and there was, and some of them were minutes that we had requested corrections in and never got them back after that.
Robin just went back
Yeah.
from this year, the beginning
Yes.
of this year, and made a matrix of what we were missing. So I forgot all about 12, so.
I don't think we
That's my
missed
bad.
any ordinances, but might be other things.
Just leave that. Leave it at that. Okay. So can we commit to doing that by end of the week?
Sure.
Okay. Well, so, looks like like the last thing we have is a contract with VFH Consulting. Okay.
Okay, the reason why this was brought forward is, one of the things that's at the top of our list, as far as the police department, is updating our police department policy manual. We use Lexapol, which is being used by a number of agencies, and our manual, we made a couple of efforts to update our manual, and because of staff shortages, losing one of our administrative staff members to retirement, it's been, and with changes as far as accreditation standards, it's something that we have not been able to do on our own. And we have an individual that's a retired police officer from Kent, and he's been working with other agencies that have the same problem, most of them larger agencies than we are. And he's been doing this for 15 years, and we need his services to be able to accomplish this task. The chief met with him, received a list of what his wages are, and we need to use him so that we can work towards our accreditation process and fulfill, that requirement of having our policy manual updated and in line with WASPIC standards. And that's what's before you at this time.
So the $6,500 quote, or $6,300 quote, that's figuring out the $35 an hour for 60 hours a month, and that's
correct. And normally, I met with him today, and he said normally he works at about 40 hours a month, but because this is something that we want to expedite, he agreed to put in an extra 20 hours to, so that we can have this thing accomplished sooner. So that estimation is based on 60 hours a month.
And then explain to me that second section where it says WASPIC accreditation advertisement and report generation, $50 hourly rate.
What the first step is to go over our entire manual, and he briefed me on how he is going to do this, the process that's involved. And once the manual is completed, he'll be working with us towards getting accredited, making sure that we're meeting all of the standards within the policies. So this will be phase two towards the accreditation. First the manual, and phase two will be to make sure that we're compliant with what's in the manual. We have the manual, but there are certain standards and requirements to pass accreditation. They're going to meet with individuals within the department, and they're going to say, show us this to prove that you're in compliance with this that's in the policy manual. So this is what he will help us with. Once we have our manual updated, he's going to work with us to make sure that we're complying with the standards that are listed, so that when the people come down to evaluate us and to see if we're in compliance with what's in the manual, then he's to help us to make that happen.
And what's the time frame between the time we get the policy back until the time we start that? Like, how do we get our officers trained on the changes?
Well, everything is done the officers have an access code where they can go into the computer and boom, the policy manual is there electronically available for them. So the manual is there now, except the changes aren't there. And there are training bulletins that's there also that the officers access they can access on a daily basis to make sure they're current on their training. But again, it's not updated.
So so once the policy is updated, how do they know what's changed between the previous and the current version they're accessing? Like, how do we know that they're aware of everything's changed outside the training?
Okay. The changes will be done by section. So we'll take a section of the policy manual. Those changes will be made to make that policy manual current. And that section that has been changed will be posted electronically, and the officers will be informed that this section of the policy manual is updated. You are required to review the policy manual as those changes have occurred, and then there'll be some type of accountability where we'll be able to see if they are in compliance with checking on those changes.
So is there like a change log that says this is what it was, this is what it is now, so they can tell the difference, or they just expected to have it memorized and know what's changed?
I don't think that the old changes will, we don't want to confuse them with the old and the new. My understanding is the new changes will be posted. There'll be some similarities, but the current changes is what will be posted. The old changes will be, my understanding is the old changes will be reviewed by the administrative staff and not the officers, but just the administrative staff, which consists of myself, the chief, the detective, and the sergeant. And we will be working with this individual to to accept those changes that were made, to make sure that they fit the needs of our police department. As an example, there's a policies on conducting searches on females' private areas, and we do not do that. So that's a policy change. That's a change which we will be making on that particular policy, to indicate that that's a policy we do not. That's a type of search that we do not do. So there are those types of policies that are listed in the manual that we need to review, throw out what does not apply, and keep those that do apply and still meet the accreditation standards. So once the staff has gone over with Mr. Harvey those changes that we feel are necessary, once we put that stamp of approval on those changes, that's what the officers will see. They're not going to see, well, this is the old one, this is the new changes. They're going to see the final policy that's been approved by Mr. Harvey, who feels that they will meet the accreditation standards, and the staff that reviewed those policies with them.
I'd be interested to see how we're knowing that they understand the change, how the officers know, and you don't have to answer now, but I want to see what the accountability part looks like at some point. I think that falls more to the mayor.
Okay, not quite sure I understand.
So I just want to know if we're, and I know that the accreditation process will kind of weed that out, because if the officers aren't meeting the standards, we're not going to be accredited. So I don't want to get to that point. So I want to know, we've paid this guy $6,300 to update all our policies, which is great, but between that point and when accreditation happens, I want to know what we're doing to get the best out of our money. I want to know how the officers are going to be trained on the changes, and how, as administration, we're holding all of those officers accountable to them logging in and updating those policies, because when it comes time, I'm assuming accreditation isn't free. So at some point, we're going to pay to have somebody come evaluate us, and to have us fail, we're paying on both ends, and the miss is on the administration side. And I don't want that to happen.
Okay, I accept that with that understanding that the first thing we need to do is change the current policy manual because it is out of date. There's been laws that have changed, there's been different laws that have been changed, federal and state. We are not current with those changes in our current policy manual. The numbering system has changed because of the different laws that affect policy, and so pretty much what we have now is it's obsolete, it's outdated, and it's going to create some problems for us if we rely on the current policy manual. Phase 2, dealing with accreditation, that's going to come after the phase 1. We're focusing right now on the phase 1 part.
Yeah, I think we should be focused on all of it at once. I mean, it's not like we're sitting down and writing a manual. We can do two things at one time. I won't beat it down anymore. Anybody else want to talk to more? Sorry.
Just a concern where the money's coming from. Do we have a budget acceptable to?
We're going to sell cookies, right?
That's right.
Been there, done that. What other questions do we have? You give me evil eye too. I must have done something right. Okay? Anything else? Yeah, that's right. Council pleasure? You got one more too? Okay. Okay. Thanks, LP. Okay. Anything else? All right.
One thing I forgot, we need an update communication law. Addresses, phone numbers, whatever, council members, who they are, and who's in charge of, like, you said, community center, whatever, so we have our communication law.
Oh, okay. So council members, if we could all send our contact information to Amy and CC them home, just so she has it too. And if you could make sure we get an updated list for department heads with council.
Yeah, Clint can email it tonight, I guess.
Yeah,
Please do that.
Clint can email it from here.
But
You're going to email me your
I still know how to make the little types.
If it's close enough, you can yell it from his house.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're adjourned. Thank you.